Dr. David Roach holds a BS in Education in English and Speech Education and a Master's of Education in Administration from Abilene Christian University. He also has a Doctorate of Education in Higher Education Administration from Texas Tech University. He served as Chair and Basic Course Director for the Department of Communication Studies at Texas Tech for 10 years before he accepted his current role as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the College of Arts and Sciences. In addition to his role of Associate Dean, Dr. Roach also serves as faculty at Texas Tech and teaches courses in communications, including business and professional communications for undergraduates and quantitative research methods for graduate students. As a scholar, Dr. Roach is an individual whose career and research has been driven and shaped by his value of education. Dr. Roach approached his career in higher education administration with the goal of working in administration at the college level while still being able to teach and research. The recursive relationship between Roach's career and his research foci began after college, when he taught English and speech at the secondary level. During that time, he pondered why some teachers were more able to manage and influence their classroom, and some struggled. Roach identifies this time in his career as the genesis for his foci, which include communication apprehension, influence communication, nonverbal communication, argumentativeness, and leadership. While his research interests vary, the thread that connects each of them is the question of how instructors can better communicate with their students. After teaching at the secondary level, he began his Master's of Education and Administration at Abilene Christian University. As a TA in graduate school, he asked questions about how other TAs did their work. He wanted to provide research-based answers to common classroom communication problems, to help his colleagues, and to learn about his own teaching. As a researcher, Dr. Roach's questions have led him to the scholars whom he considers his influences and to the articles which he considers exemplars in his field. Evidence of Dr. Roach's early research interests and influences are his 1998 article, Teaching Assistant Communication Apprehension, Willingness to Communicate, and State Communication Anxiety in the Classroom, and his 2003 article, Teaching Assistant Anxiety and Coping Strategies in the Classroom. Both of these papers addressed common communication problems in the graduate TA's classroom. Both utilized statistical analysis to evaluate data, which he collected via Likert-like surveys. Further, both studies built on work from an article identified by Roach as an exemplar in his field. In the article, Instructional Practices and Classroom Communication Apprehension, a Cultural Explanation, published in 1996, authored by Olaniran and Stewart, quantitative methods were used to answer questions of classroom communication apprehension. Further evidence of how Dr. Roach's individual interests motivate the way that he seeks mentorship and knowledge can be seen in his 2005 study, A Cross-Cultural Comparison of Instructor Communication in American and French Classrooms. This study focused on verbal and nonverbal communication strategies and strategies that emphasize teacher power in the classroom. This focus on power and classroom management can also be seen in articles that Dr. Roach pointed to as exemplars. For example, Plax et al.'s 1986 study focused on student resistance to teachers' selective control strategies in the classroom, and McCroskey et al.'s 1985 research centered on power in the classroom. While Dr. Roach largely performs quantitative methods, he believes that a scholar should be familiar with the variety of methods available in their field. He states that his own roots are in rhetoric, and he remains fond of rhetorical approaches. He himself has applied qualitative methods when they proved most appropriate. Evidence of this is in Dr. Roach's 2016 study, in which he and his colleagues explored agricultural communications students' perceptions of communication and writing apprehension. The researchers approached their objectives using a theoretical framework that drew on social cognitive theory to manifest concepts of self-efficacy. They used a qualitative research design, which included purposeful sampling of the study subjects and semi-structured one-on-one interviews, which were coded and analyzed with in vivo. The study also employed research journals, field notes, interview transcripts, and member checking. Today, Dr. Roach's research remains driven by his questions of how to improve relationships via communication. His current research projects address leadership, organizational communication, and influence communication. He is an active member of the National Communication Association and serves on the editorial board of several research journals. As an administrator, Dr. Roach views himself as a servant. When people have needs that he can fulfill, he is drawn to help. As a teacher, he focuses on ensuring that classes are a success. Then, he says, he has to carve out time for his own research. He suggests that it is a challenge to balance these three significant roles. One practice that Dr. Roach identified which helps him participate as a researcher is collaborating with graduate students on their projects. In conclusion, Dr. David Roach's career and research provides an example to graduate students of how to be successful in higher education by approaching one's career with an attitude of service and approaching one's research with clear objectives and A-positive approaches.
Remember that you're here to get your degree, and so carve out time for the classes that you're taking in your studies and your research and what have you. And then remember to take care of those students who have been entrusted to your care. You are their teaching experience. Be very professional in the way that you approach the learners that have been entrusted to your care. And give them a contagion of excitement about how wonderful what it is that your teaching is.